Hello everyone, it's Louise here from Isabeau's. I decided that I wanted to make a bubble bath soap, and here I've given you a close-up of my design book. Now, when I get an idea, and I get them from all sorts of places, it can be looking out the window and seeing nature, it can be from somebody else's videos, it can be from a picture on the internet, or a picture in a book. Really, it's just about giving me a place that I can put these design ideas down, because it may be months before I actually get the time to actually go back and have a look at it and see if I can actually do it. Now, this design here is called the Bubble Bath Soap, and really what I was looking for was I wanted to be able to cut a bath in half in soap form. So as you can see, I've got the bath in the white, and then I've got the ripples of the water and the bubbles on top. Now what's great about this book is on the other side is a lined page where I can put down all the information about the soap. Colours, ingredients, recipe, fragrance, additives are all there if I need to go back and use it again. Now these are the soap balls that I'm going to use. I made them out of soap dough. If you want to know about soap dough, it is your normal soap recipe. Put it in a container with the lid on for 48 hours to finish the soapification process, and then you can use it. You can also use it without gloves because it's no longer raw soap. Now I spent probably about 2 weeks every night rolling soap balls. I wouldn't recommend it, and I made way too many for what I wanted. This is about half a litre of soap balls. Now these are little ones that I've made previously, and I use them on my cupcake soaps. What I do is I actually roll them in glitter. You can see it on my glove there, and just leave them to harden up. Now I didn't want to use soap dough to make the rubber ducks, so I've used a melt and pour mold here and done the rubber ducks that way because it gives me the detail that I was looking for. Now this is the crude tool that I decided that I was going to make up to try and do this. I'm going to make white soap for the outside and scrape this down the middle and hopefully get a bath look to it. So let's make some soap. And I'm not going to let you watch me blend it. With the magic of video, I've done it. So I've taken this to a very light trace because I want to pour off some of the white, and I want to take that to a piping consistency to make that U shape. The rest of the soap is going to be left at a very light trace because I don't want to make two batches. I don't want to do one soap very thick and one soap very light so I can do a pot swirl. I wanted to use the same batch. So with piping, and you're going to see this a bit later, what you need to do is leave it, and you're going to say, but I've got other soap that's beginning to go through the soapification process. Yes, you're right. However, because you've taken it to a very light trace, you can actually take one to a very thick trace, a pipeable trace, and as long as you leave the other one alone and don't go back in with your blender, and I'll show you, I'll whisk in the colours, you can keep that at a very light trace. Now I'm blending this to a very medium to thick trace. I want it quite creamy and heavy because that's going to do half the work for me. As I said, when you're doing a piping consistency, you want it to be quite thick, and you probably take it, if you've never piped before, you take it further than you think you should. You know, you're really looking to be able to spoon it into the mold, and I'll show you how I check for pipeable trace very shortly. Now, while we're waiting for me to do that, I'm going to ask everybody very kindly if they like the videos to please subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up. And you can see I broke my spatula there. I'm so strong. No, it was just not a spatula. And please do it for any video that you actually do like. people put a lot of effort in putting videos together, so please reward them for the education and the information they give you by actually liking and subscribing to their channels. Not just me, everybody. So here I am, I've got my light trace and I'm going to mix my colours in. Now I'm going to do this with a whisk because I really want to keep it a light trace. I want to do a pot swirl here. Now I chose a blue and a green, and I'm not going to give you the colours because I actually live in a beautiful place called Tauranga, New Zealand, and what we have here you may not have back home, so I'm just going to say blue and green, and they're both mica colours. Unfortunately, the green that I used, although it looks beautiful and I have used it before, actually morphed this time, which is the first time it's ever done that to me, and I end up with this pinky browny looking soap. And even days later, it's been about 3 days now and it still looks disgusting. But as I said, this was a total experiment, so I'm not really worried about the colour. As you can see, I'm just making sure that the colour's whisked in here. I'm not looking to take it any further. Now, when you're talking about using white, make sure your colour doesn't have any vanillin in it, because it will discolour your soap to a brown, and also check to see whether it's going to slow down trace or speed up. Now this is my white. I've left it aside and gone back and stirred it every 5 minutes because you don't want it to go hard in some places and soft in others. You want it to all be the same sort of consistency. Now you can see it's quite thick here, and there is a consistency that I'm looking for that I know I can pipe at, and I'm assuming, because this is an experiment, remember, that it's going to make good consistency to be able to get it to stand up, and that's what I was looking for. I scraped it up the side and made sure it could stand up. Now I've done this at 10 times the speed because I spent a lot of time mucking around trying to get this right. And that there is a little icing spatula. I'd say if you don't have one, get one, they're well worth it. I just didn't have enough white, and I spent ages and ages trying to make the white that I had fit the mould, but it didn't. It was a lot of fun to try, and it's probably a technique I'll try again. I don't know whether I'll do this particular design again, but it was a lot of fun to do, and you can't be a perfectionist doing this because you'll drive yourself mad trying to get it all even and nice. And I think if you actually spent some time measuring and making sure that your scraping tool was exact and fitted not only across the top but down the sides, you would end up with a much better job. But I just wanted to try the technique, and as I keep saying, it's an experiment. So yeah, this is 10 times the speed, so this was most of the video otherwise, and it's pretty boring, me just scraping and trying to make it fit. So I'm going back to my blue and my green here. I'm going to do a quick in the pot swirl. So it was supposed to look like glimmering water. It was supposed to look like, you know, that sparkly sort of glimmer of water that you've got. I'm going to put some soap balls down the bottom because I want it to look like the bubbles are coming up. And you'll notice there's even some white ones in there as well, just to give it that idea. These soap balls actually worked really well in the final design. You can see them, and they do look nice. and I think if the whole design had worked out how I'd planned, it would have been a really good idea to put them in. Now, my design is about putting soap balls on top as well. And so what I did learn is this isn't the way I'd do it, the way I'm just about to show you. I would put this on top, but then wouldn't stack it any further. Now what I am doing between the lots is I'm actually spraying it with water to make the soap sticky and just stick together. I'm going to force gel it in the oven. However, this did not work. You'll see at the end when I do the final cut that a lot of the balls do fall off. I was expecting some of them too, but it just didn't really stick, and I think I'd pipe soap in the end, soap balls on top. But a lot of fun to do, and you know, if I was just going to do a few soap balls, I would definitely spray them like this just to get that to stick together. So here's what it looks like all finished, ready to go into the oven with a good spray of water, and this is the representation of what it should look like when it's finished. Now for the cut. This was interesting because, as I said, a lot of the balls fell off. So it was interesting to cut. I was able to cut from the top with a wire cutter because of the fact that I'd actually used cold processed soap throughout the whole soap. I find sometimes when I use melt and pour that it's too hard for my wire cutter to get through, and it doesn't turn out exactly like what I wanted. I was a little bit disappointed, if I'm going to be honest, with how it turned out. But it's still a really nice soap, and I had a lot of fun experimenting and doing something a bit of fun with soap rather than just doing soap to sell. This was just for me to have a go at. And would I do it again? No, I probably wouldn't. Would I do it commercially? Yes, I would, but probably in a different guise. Different colours, different technique. I do a lot more measuring and make sure that my template's a lot easier to work with, and make sure that I worked out exactly how much soap I had. As you can see, the green has gone that yucky pinky colour, but the idea is there. I did really like how the bubbles turned out in this, and you can see too much titanium oxide and glycerin rivers. Just not a good look at all. Let's cut one more. I'm not going to cut the whole bar because I know once I've cut one more we'll see what it's like, and that will show you what the rest of the bar's like. Here we go. I'm very slow moving. Being very careful about those bubbles as I move it out. Ta-da! As I said, I enjoyed doing it, and it was interesting to do. I love the bubbles on top. Thank you for watching.